Hey everybody, welcome to the new My Techie Figure It Out Fridays podcast. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering SmartSheet data and archival of said SmartSheet data. So I had a colleague come to me the other day and we were talking about some SmartSheet data. They were talking about how one of the departments uses SmartSheets primarily, and they do a ton of data entry into that. And they eventually hit the SmartSheets data limit. Now, if you're not familiar with this podcast, I don't blame you, because this podcast is actually meant for this podcast is brand new and it's actually meant for businesses, and it's a first episode, so you wouldn't be familiar. So this podcast is going to be completely uncut, raw, unedited, so there's going to be a lot of mistakes, a lot of fumbles. It's my first time doing video podcasting, so again, I hope I do a decent job here. We'll see what happens. So we're going to go ahead and transition over to this screen here. I got to always remember in OBS to flip it over. So that's one thing I'm also going to have to remember to do. So again, Figured Out Fridays here, SmartSheet data archive, quick and easy. Why do we need to archive SmartSheet data? Again, we talked about my colleague saying that the department had entered too much data and they're needing to truncate said data. So with that being said, they're hitting the limit. And that limit is actually quite a bit. If we take a look at we flip back over to the screen here, we are going to see that the limit in SmartSheet data is actually 200,000 or 20,000 max rows. Now that 20,000 max rows is quite a bit of data, but the SmartSheets data itself, they were just hitting it. They were hitting that limit. That department just slammed that SmartSheet a ton of data, and they're like, well, what they're doing right now is they're like duplicating that sheet and then truncating and deleting all the data in the other in the sheet that's active, and then they're going ahead and re-entering the data, but there's no way to get good metrics and reports on it. And so that's basically what they came to me for, was they're like, hey, can you help us with that? So I did already do this one, so it's technically not a Figure It Out Friday, because I already have figured it out. But I am going to go through and talk again about what we did during that discussion and also kind of show you how to do it. So I'm not technically figuring it out on the fly, but we're going to go ahead and see what we can do, okay? So we're going to go ahead, and the challenge behind the archival, which was what tech stack do we use? How are we going to do it? So they had started playing around with using Power Automate online, and then talking about with the Power Automate online, looking at taking the data from the SmartSheets API, and then from the API, they were then doing with the on-premise gateway and then transferring it into a SQL server like that. With that being said, that would basically leave 2 times the transfer. So you have to transfer from the API into the Power Automate, from Power Automate to the gateway. So it's twice it's going from 2 places and transferring the data. So we're going to try to avoid, I said we got to try to avoid that. We should be able to just call out directly to the API and pull that data down. And whether we do that through PowerShell, whether we do that through C#, whether we do that through, there's a plethora of ways of doing that. In the end, I had chose to do it through a C# console application, and it's a very, very easy thing to do if you have any kind of C# familiarity. If you do not, then again, it is also still an easy thing to do. We'll be walking you through it all through on this side right here, and we'll be doing that in this particular podcast. So the next thing is, what can we do about it? Well, we can get the data, put it into a SQL server or some other format where we can have an on-premise or on-site data archive. They wanted to do it into a SQL server so they can utilize SSRS, SQL Server Reporting Services, and then do reports on top of the data that way for audits and logs and histories and reports about the data that was there before they did the truncation. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get into this. It is a difficulty level 6 because you do have to kind of understand how programming works a little bit. Like, you have to be able to read the code and kind of follow logic patterns. I am going to show the code. I am going to have all the code here. And to be honest with you, I'll just go ahead and create a Git repository out of it and then upload it and eventually leave it in the description of this live stream. So this is a live stream. Hello. And again, it is raw and unedited, so we're not going to go ahead and be able to post that video or that link to the repository immediately, but it will be down there eventually. So let's go ahead and switch back over to the other screen, and let's get this going. I'm going to temporarily turn off my camera here, and we're going to go ahead and just look at this screen like as is. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and log into SmartSheets here, and you're going to notice that SmartSheets requires you to have a business account in order to use the API. Now, if you don't have a business account, you will have to upgrade to a business account. It is $72 a month because you do have to pay for 3 users, which is like $24 something a month. If you pay it for yearly, I don't remember the discount there, but if you pay it for yearly, you'll do it that you'll be able to save a little bit of money. I had to pay for this up front for education and lessons to you guys, so hopefully you guys like it and you guys get some use out of it. So here we are in SmartSheets. We've logged in. We do have a business account in our membership, so we're going to go ahead and go to Apps and Integrations. Under here, we're going to go into API Access. We're going to go ahead and click on Generate New Access Token. I'm going to go ahead and call it SmartSheet Data Test. All right. Pretty bad name, but whatever. I'm going to copy this API key. Probably a bad idea I'm doing this, but there's nothing in this SmartSheets API that you're going to be able to see anyways, because nothing's there. So have fun with any data you get. All right, so there's the API key, and we're going to go ahead and have fun doing this. Okay, so we got that, and we're going to go look at our sheets. So you're going to get a whole host of data here, which is going to be me and John Smith, and the email for the company. So that's pretty much all we got going on here. We got a sheet called API test, and it's just first name, last modified date, and last modified by. Now, these 2 columns here are dynamic columns. They are part of the logic process. So basically, as someone edits it, so if I put Jane Smith here and I do and I tab through, that's the reason why my email and everything gets updated, because it should be updating automatically, which it's not. Oh, I didn't save. So as you see here, it gets updated automatically. If not, I would put different emails in there, obviously. Okay, so now that we have that data in there, we're going to go ahead and talk about the other pieces of the puzzle that you're going to need. So the one thing you're going to need is Visual Studio, the actual Visual Studio, not Visual Studio Code. And you can just use the community edition here. So you can see this community edition. You're going to just use that. And you can use that by going to visualstudio.microsoft.com/downloads. You'll be presented with this screen here. And you can click on the free download button. It'll download a file for you. And once it's downloaded the file for you, you can then run it. And you'll click on next and continue a couple times. And you'll eventually be presented with this. Now, I left this here so I can show you what you're actually going to need to install in order to actually do what we're doing in this video. So I basically have removed Visual Studio from this computer, and we're going to be going ahead and installing it from scratch. So the first thing you're going to do is click on the .NET Desktop Development. That's one thing we're going to be doing here. And then you're going to want to come down and look at the Windows application development. You're going to click on that. And then if you want to have like all the extra SQL side of things, you can do the data storage and processing. And then that will also help you get what you need for the SQL side of things in regards to like SSIS packages, etc. We're not going to do anything of that like that right now. We're just going to leave it pretty pretty bog standard, just some .NET development. Now, if you do want to mess with some old projects, just as a heads up, on the right-hand side of the screen, you would definitely want to install the .NET 4.62 to 4.71 development tools, because there is older projects out there that before .NET changed from 4.7 and .NET Framework, it's now just like kind of .NET. Before it changed over and it went from .NET Framework to .NET, it was a really hard cut basically, and so that there's a lot of old framework projects that are out there that you may still need those tools if you want to open them and play with them. There are people did upgrade eventually. They did a big security patch for 4.81. You can install that as well just in case there is a tool out there that requires it. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and say install while downloading and then click the install button. So while that does its thing, we're going to go ahead and minimize this, and we're going to minimize this, and we're going to minimize this, and we're going to go ahead and pull up this machine here. Now, I have SQL Server installed here locally. You don't necessarily have to have it installed locally. You'll probably have a SQL Server of choice already. Now, you're going to see that I have a database here. You can ignore that. So we're going to go and create a new database, and we're going to call it SmartSheet data. Okay, and click OK, and we're gonna leave all the defaults here. Okay, so with that being said, we got that SmartSheets data there. We're gonna unpin that, let that go away, and we have a database ready to go for us. Okay, so before we get started, Visual Studio needs at least 16.8 gigs of disk space. Try to free up space. Okay, did I not allocate that much to the server? Let's see here. Oh, I do not have enough space, evidently. Okay. I got anything in the downloads I can delete? I can delete everything in here. Goodbye. Let's see. Well, everything besides, I guess, Visual Studio. Okay, delete all that stuff. Delete. Bye-bye. Hopefully that gives us some room back. I don't think it's going to give us enough room back, but let's see. All right. Let's see how much room we got now. Let's go back over here. Let's see if we can retry that. Probably not. Okay, well let's have some fun here. You're gonna see in real time. We're gonna go ahead and pause this virtual machine, and we're gonna increase the size of this guy. I could have swore I saw a little bit more space than that. This is a VM, so I have way too much. Even with that you saw there. That's going to be part of a new video that's coming out for in the next podcast, which is QuickBooks data archival from Enterprise. How to get access to your data if you do not want to keep paying the license, and you may have switched over to QuickBooks Pro, or you have moved away to another solution, but you still need access to your old data in QuickBooks Enterprise. That's gonna be on the next podcast. You'll see that there, a little sneak peek. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna go ahead allocate some more space to this VM and then expand it. So let's go here. I may have to actually I may have to shut it down. I think I gotta shut it down. All right, let me go ahead and resume it, and then I'll shut it down and then restart it. It's an unfortunate thing, but we're gonna have to do it that way. Because it doesn't look like I can expand the disk while I have it running. Again, live and uncut, raw. I'm not gonna go ahead and prep like a as much as I would normally for like a video and or cut all this stuff out. You're gonna see it live and raw. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and hit cancel here for right now, and we're gonna go ahead and cancel, and we're gonna go ahead and shut this bad boy down. And I had a cough a couple times there, so I apologize. I tried to mute the mic. Hopefully it did that. And once this goes down, we're going to go ahead and go to settings again. We're going to go back to that 60 gig, and we should be able to expand this drive. It doesn't look like we're able to. Maximum size 60 gig. Disk space is not pre-allocated for hard disk contents. Map this virtual machine. Defragment. Expand disk capacity. So we're gonna go ahead and put it up to. We'll go ahead and put up 80 gigs. Let's do it 100 gigs. That's fine. All right, let's expand it up. There should be enough room on the host hard drive for that. Hopefully. We'll see what happens here. So we'll expand that disk size here. Once that's expanded, we'll go ahead and continue. So it's going to take a little second. You guys might want to take a little coffee break. I don't really have any fill material to fill in. And because it's my first podcast and it wasn't really broadcasted to anybody as far as the promoting it, we're going to go ahead and just switch on over to AFK mode while this guy goes ahead and installs. And we'll be back when it's ready. I have been talking on mute this entire time, it looks like, and I apologize if I was. Again, this is brand new to me, so I'm having to remember to switch over things, switch off microphones, switch on microphones. I'm a one-man show here with this. So what I was explaining, if you didn't hear it, was that you didn't see the screens that we are expanding the disk space, but we are expanding that disk space right now for this VM. It's almost complete. It is going a lot more fast than it was at the beginning, and yeah, we're just waiting on that to finish currently. I apologize if I keep switching in and out the camera. That is because I'm trying to adjust the camera height. Sometimes it's a little bit more lower, sometimes higher. So again, this being a first podcast, it's kind of trial by fire. So bear with me. We're gonna get this finally installed. I'm trying to just do a little bit of fill content here. And SmartSheets, like I said, it's a good software. When doing this with the other person, I had learned quite a bit about the software, just the nature of having the meetings and talking about it. And it's a good software over all in all. For enterprises, it's really good because you can very much so control things and how things work. You can add forms to it, and it's all pretty much secured internally. You have a lot more granular control of that security, other than, like, for example, like Google Sheets or something of this nature. And then really, to be honest with you, if you're not into like the Office 365 ecosystem, or even if you are, or in the Google Sheets ecosystem, SmartSheet just give you that extra little bit of granular control that you wish you had department to department in larger enterprises. There's some other extra things you can do with it. Obviously, like in this case, we're dealing with the API and being able to grab data. Uh, you know, the ideas are unlimited at that point in time of what you would actually do with the SmartSheets API, where you would put that data, how you would transcribe it. There's webhooks and things of this nature as well. So like when a certain sheet gets updated, you can call out to another webhook API, make an API call out to somewhere else. There's the possibilities are limitless. The possibilities are only limited by your imagination of what you want to do with it. Now, that's kind of the reason why we're doing this broadcast here, is because some people will be like, "Oh, I need to truncate data for SmartSheets, but I don't want to lose that data." Or, "Hey, I want to do reporting on the SmartSheets historical data, and I have to truncate it and put it in multiple other sheets. How can I do that?" Right? So that's what this is all about. This is all about fulfilling that request and trying to give you some ideas of maybe what you could do with that, whether it be analytics, or whether it be metrics, or whether it be just not wanting to lose your data, or having your data on-prem for quick access in case you lose internet. There's a thousand reasons, or thousand possibilities of the reason to access that Smartsheet data. So it's finally finishing up. I know you can't see that screen, and I apologize for you that you cannot see that the expansion screen. So you're just kind of seeing me mumble while I'm watching a progress bar right now. So it just finished. I'm gonna go ahead and start this bad boy up, and you can see now that I am starting it up. So once this machine boots up, we're gonna go ahead and log into this machine, and we're gonna go ahead and get that Visual Studio finalized and installed. Those who watch this, you can probably, hopefully, I should have probably said skip to over that, but it's too late now. I'll put chapter markers in there, probably. All right, so we'll log in. All right, we're in our machine. We should actually have the base Visual Studio installed, so we should have the Visual Studio installer. So if you do run into the space issue where you had to redo this, you had to hit cancel, and you had to either expand your VM, or if you were doing this in a VM, or if you just didn't have enough room and you had to go delete stuff and you had to wait to delete it, so you had to cancel then. By default, you should have the Visual Studio installer already installed if you did run into that issue. And that Visual Studio installer should be able to pop up for you once this machine wants to do it. I think I clicked on it. Try it again. Try that one more time. There we go. That looks like it took. All right, so you haven't installed anything yet. So basically, it was downloading it and compiling it, and then calculating disk space to be used, and it said, sorry, Charlie, you don't got enough. Now, do I have enough, or do I have to expand my disk? I may have to expand my disk. Let's see. Yeah, so it didn't expand my disk automatically. So let's go ahead and get that taken care of. We're gonna do that by right-clicking on the Start button and going. Right-clicking on the Start button and going to Disk Management. You're going to notice that my disk has some extra unallocated space here. Oh, but I have this partition right here. Uh-oh. That one shouldn't be there. I'm not going to be able to do that with that there. I can't move that to the end. That's a bummer. I think that's just a recovery partition. I don't need this. I can delete this partition. Will it let me delete the partition? I'm running into problems all over the place here. I can do it through. You're gonna see a bunch of fun stuff here. You're gonna see how to get around Windows problems. So we're gonna go disk part as an admin. We're gonna go to list disk, and we're gonna do select disk 0, and then we do list part. We do delete part 3, which is our 59 gig recovery. Why is that so big? That's not the one we want to delete. We want to delete the partition 4, which is the recovery partition. Delete partition 4. Maybe select partition 4. Delete partition. There you go. Cannot delete this partition force without the force protected parameter set. Okay. Now it's gonna make me want to go Google it. Override. That's what I forgot. There you go. So now, bye-bye partition. So we get through a lot of things. Now I can extend the volume. And that was just basically deleting the partition of the recovery for this thing. So this VM is non-recoverable. Thankfully I have a snapshot of it. All right. So we've expanded that. So we definitely got more space here. If we refresh this, we should see we have tons of space now. So select from available. We're going to go ahead and install, and we're going to try that again. So .NET development, Windows application development, and that's pretty much all we need. We don't really need anything else in here. Yeah, no. Let's try that again. So we should be able to get this all installed now. Everything should be good, and hopefully you guys can actually hear me. I'm going to actually test this to see if you guys can hear me. Sorry. I'm doing this live. Yep, I can hear myself. Okay, that's good. All right. If you're not subscribed, it'd be greatly appreciated, by the way, if you do subscribe to this channel, at least for, the Figure It Out Fridays. I'm going to start trying to also post regular videos. I have a lot of really old videos I posted years ago that I probably should just get rid of. I mean, some of them were good, some were, So we'll see what happens. But I definitely want to go ahead and keep posting more, as I think me personally, as someone who's come up from the ranks, so to speak, in the IT world from a young age, and never went to school for it. I think it's really important that things are documented, and I personally learned a lot better through watching videos, even if they're long and drawn out, like this one is, due to just errors or things of that nature. And I actually a lot more enjoy those type of videos because it goes to show you what could happen in the real world. Everything's not smooth and perfect, and you really need to understand that when you go into the IT world, in many ways. So I want to be a contributor and give back to the community that helped me so much in growing in my career and growing in my life. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing this, is to not only help you as a business owners or you as business owners, but also maybe some IT people that are just getting into C# programming or SQL servers or whatever other topic that we talk about in this. It might be able to help them out too. And Lord knows that I was helped out tons by people on YouTube videos, articles that people have wrote, white papers people have wrote, and so it's time to get back to that community and get back to doing all of that. And that's why I created this podcast. Uh, it's my first time doing it again. If you guys didn't know that, you guys are just tuning in. Um, it is a my first time doing it, so I'm gonna fumble. I'm gonna screw up. And the more that you guys comment down below, the more that you guys tell me what I should do to improve, what I should do to help out. I hope my microphone quality is okay. I am using a condenser mic, so I hope it sounds decent. There is some cut levels put in place to keep the microphone from boosting too far. So hopefully that sounds all right for you guys. Um, being in the audio guy for a long time, I really enjoyed audio and messing around with mixing boards and things like that. So I got a little bit of an idea of how like OBS works audio wise and how OBS works in general. I did stream for a little bit back in the day for Counter-Strike and a couple other games, Valorant. Um, and so I have a okay idea of how OBS works. I didn't go through and create all those graphics that I probably should have for this video. I should probably have a watermark in the bottom right corner, for example, so people can't take it, but that's why my face is there. And I should probably have a bunch of other stuff, like nice little border trims around it or what have you. But we'll get there. All right. Come on, computer, you can do it. This VM, I mean, I think I've assigned it a couple cores, maybe not. Maybe I should have installed this prior. Just said, hey, go figure out how to install Visual Studio. But we're doing it anyways, right? So, all right. Out of 515 packages, I'm wondering if it's saying start after installation. Okay, that's gonna, because I don't have Visual Studio Core of it installed, I'm not able to actually start Visual Studio before the module that we're installing is installed. Typically, if you already had Visual Studio installed and you're just installing an extra module from that Visual Studio installer executable launcher, uh, technically you can keep running in Visual Studio while it does its install. But unfortunately, we don't have Visual Studio installed to begin with yet, which is the reason why we can't get into it. So let's go ahead and wait it up, and you're going to see some of the life of an IT person is just watching progress bars. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. I am going to go ahead and indulge in a nice cola beverage. Probably should get some water over here too. I had my jug somewhere around here, but I don't know where I put it. Yeah, It's somewhere. I don't know. Okay. 438. There's the .NET Core SDK 50. Um, Meanwhile, if I had more of a live audience, it would be a lot easier to fill this gaps by asking or responding to said audience. But right now, it's more like I should have just simply recorded videos and uploaded them. But eh, I'm a dad, and I'm a father of two beautiful young kids, and um, I don't have the time to film and edit, along with working a full time job and doing this other work. And I'm also now taking on this podcast, so it's gonna just be raw and uncut, and it's just the way it is. It is a video that's posted on YouTube, so if you are dealing with this live, which doesn't look like there's anybody there yet, but in the future, hopefully these videos get more compact, because everything will kind of already be there. It'll be a lot more thought through. But if it's not, and you're watching this on, after the stream has happened, there's always the fast forward button. You can just keep fast forwarding past this install, and you'll be fine. So we're almost there. We got one more package it looks like to go, and then we're pretty much done. So it's installing the UWP. I think it's the Universal Windows Profile or Program. I can't remember. So that's one thing. This year, I got back into C# programming after many years of not touching it. Um, so a huge shout out to Patrick Enns. This man has spent many hours with me and a lot of time with me to help me out in the C# world, and I fully appreciate it. So big shout out to Patrick. Thank you so much for all of your time and effort that you spent with me, mentoring me and teaching me in the C# realm. I really appreciate it. And as you continue to do so, I want to say thank you in advance. But I have learned a tremendous amount from Patrick. Uh, if you want, you can go show Patrick some love by going over to his GitHub. I'll go ahead and pull it up. So it'd be github.com, and I think it's Patrick Enns. Nope, that's not him. I'm gonna go ahead and just bring it on my other screen here and find it. Let's see here. Go to my GitHub and let's see here. Where are my repositories here? Home issues. We had my repositories, show more. Show more. Show more. Here's one of the repositories. And yeah, I can't find it. Well, I'll leave his GitHub in the video description. If you want to go to his repository, I'll just use this guy as an example, or you can use mine as an example, probably better. And you just go to the repository and or his profile, and just go ahead and find one of the repositories that they work on very often, and click on it, and then simply go ahead and give it a big star, and that just helps out that developer for future references. All right, so we're going to launch Visual Studio, and we're going to get this ball rolling finally. Uh-oh, I forgot what that API key was, and I didn't save it. So we're gonna have to log back into SmartSheets and create one because it will not, I believe, give you the ID afterwards. We're gonna have to go and log in with Microsoft here again, and we're gonna go and select our account. We're gonna go ahead and get our password, and we're gonna go ahead and two-factor this guy. There we go. Skip signing in. We're gonna go to dark mode, general development, Visual C Sharp, start Visual Studio. We're gonna go back over here, apps and integrations, API access. We're gonna go ahead and revoke that one. So anybody who didn't log in and watch this stream live, you're revoked. SmartSheet data grab 2, and then we're gonna grab that token and go ahead and actually the token was already there on Notepad. That's kind of cool that Notepad kept that. Thank you, Notepad. But too late, I've already revoked it. All right. So we're gonna go and create a new project. And inside, when you create this new project, you're gonna go ahead and click on C# console app. If you don't see that and you search for console up here and you don't see it, that means that when you did that launcher, you didn't install the right modules. And so go back and make sure you do. Okay, so let's go ahead and hit next. And we're gonna go ahead and just call this like SmartSheet data grabber or something like that. Next. And it's going to be an 8.0 project, and we're going to hit create. So pretty bog standard type of thing. One or more errors generated Microsoft Dynamics be specified could be found. Don't know why that happened. I'm running into a bunch of issues today. This is great. All right. Looks like it did end up launching here. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and click on one of those lines and just press Control Dot. The project didn't load, but the file for the project loaded. That's interesting. Okay. Okay, whatever. Let's go ahead and copy his path and add existing project. You shouldn't have to do that, so the SDK, Microsoft.NET SDK specified could not be found. Okay. So it's saying that it couldn't find the SDK that we specified for this, but okay, that doesn't make any sense because we just got that installed, you know. SmartSheet data grabber 2. Next. Obviously use 6.0 just in case. Okay, well, it looks like we're having a problem right off the bat with Visual Studio. It's not like in life. Launch Visual Studio Launcher, see if we can repair it. Man, I'm having all sorts of issue. Repair. I gotta leave soon. I'm gonna have to redo this whole thing over again and delete this episode. Okay, so it's requiring a restart. Okay, lovely. All right, so I just went ahead and restalled here, and I restarted and reopened up that same project. I'm gonna go ahead and try to add that existing project here and see if it actually opens up this time. It's funny that it's loading the file, to be frank. Will it load the project now that I've restarted? Oh, it loaded. Hey. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on here. I'm gonna press Control Dot, and what that's gonna do is it's gonna go ahead and pull up like a helper menu, or it should. I don't know why it's not. Control Dot. Maybe it's different through the VM. It doesn't recognize it, or maybe the IntelliSense didn't load immediately. Let's reopen it and see if IntelliSense will reload. There it goes. So just because the project wasn't loaded, so IntelliSense didn't load it, we'll convert it to a program style name, and we'll get start programming. Now, once you've done that and you've opened it up and converted it by pressing Control Dot to a program style name, we're gonna go ahead and click on the project drop down, go to Manage NuGet Packages, and what that's gonna do is gonna allow us to get access to basically extra libraries that are out there. And we're gonna click on the Browse button, and we're gonna type in SmartSheet. And you're gonna notice that there is a SmartSheet C# SDK. We're gonna go and click on the Install button on that. And we're gonna click Apply and Accept. And I know that this thing had a kept my API key from before, so I should be able to keep it here. And again, I don't care you guys have this API key because I will be revoking it to post this video. And there's nothing in that account during this live video anyways. All right. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to go back to the program file here. And I'm just going to go ahead and put a comment here or a string and call this thing API key. And this is inside of the constructor, which I do not want. We're going to call this static string API key equals to that's key. Oh, copy that and put it back in there. Okay. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at the SmartSheets C# SDK. So you're going to see the project URL has a GitHub link. If we click on that, you're going to notice that it has an example right here of how to get a SmartSheet. So you have the SmartSheet build, etc. And you're going to see right here it has var sheet equals SmartSheet sheet resources dot get SmartSheet. So it's literally a one, a one-liner, so to speak. So you just have to do a new SmartSheet client and build it. And I'm just going to be basically copying and pasting here. And then we're going to go ahead and copy this right here, var sheet. And then we need a sheet ID. This was adding something else, sheet name, I guess. Okay, so I missed copying there. So we're going to go ahead and get the sheet ID by logging into SmartSheets again. All right, let's log in here one more time. All right. And 23. Okay. All right, we're logged in. And we're going to go over to our SmartSheets platform. Finally, we're going to go into our sheets, and then we're going to right click on our sheet, go to properties, and then grab this sheet ID. We're going to go back over here and double click and paste it into that sheet ID. This is supposed to be a long field. It's not liking it. Why? it's not liking that long. No overlaps, it takes one argument. Okay. Includes, excludes. Okay. Well, I know that when I did it, I just simply typed SmartSheet SDK get sheet or get rows, and then I looked at here, and we'll type C# afterwards. Retrieve row data. No, I'm pretty sure I followed this. So list sheets, sheets low, SmartSheet sheet ID. I mean, I don't know why. We can convert it to long, like that. No, it doesn't like that either. Okay. To do or else set access token. Yep, we're gonna have to do that. And then get rid of this and do API key. And then SmartSheet dot get sheet resources sheet resources dot get sheet. As soon as I open that up, we should have just a long. We don't need all this extra stuff here. I mean, I guess I could just pass nulls to it all. All right, so I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are not nullable though. IEnumerable, but I didn't need to do that for my other one. Let's see if I can figure it out. Advanced topics. Pretty sure I just went in here and I looked through this thing and I grabbed a pretty bog standard boilerplate. Documentation. See over here. There we go. Node.js sample. There's a C# example here. Get sheet. What's this thing called? Yeah, get sheet. Resources, access levels, work at scale, objects, attachments, automation, columns, objects. Nope. Users, webhooks, sheet. Dude, I am lost for words right now. I found this in like 2 seconds when I was C# SDK. Oh, here it is. This is what I was looking for right here. Right in front of my face. Come on, Mike. All right, let's go ahead and paste this dude here. There you go. That should work. And then we just need to replace our sheet ID with my sheet ID that I just lost. Let's go ahead and undo that. So paste that there, cut that out, and there we go. Yeah, it does pass nulls for everything else. So, no, behold, I was right, but the other things didn't look like they were nullable. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and run this, and we should get how many rows loaded from the sheet. So, if we just click on the little play button at the top, we're going to have the ability to run this thing, and we should see loaded. Definitely looks like in the future I'm going to have to give this thing a little more horsepower, huh? So loaded 3 rows, and lo and behold, if you look at my Smartsheet data and we look at our sheets and we go in there, we only have 3 rows of data. Look at that. So the cool part about this SDK is actually really friendly. If you know how to do any kind of basic programming in C# at all, this SDK is really friendly. So we know that we're loading 3 rows, so we can actually do this and go for each, and then we can do var row in sheet.rows. I mean, it just makes sense, right, so to speak. And then we can just say, I want to console.write line of some nonsense, and this nonsense is going to be first name, and we have access to that row right here. So we do row, and then columns. We have cells, and we can do and then we have also columns, right? So we can do row dot columns, and then we can access it through here and do like first name if we know what the column name is. Do we know what the column name is? This question. What is the column name? First space name. So what is this? This is the I list. So I'm gonna have to do. Wait, hold on. What is this? This is an I list of column. This is what columns is. Oh, so I'm gonna have to do cells, and then we can just do. Really, we can just do 0 like that. Dot value or something like that. All right, and I don't think it will matter, but I'm just gonna throw a toString on there just in case it doesn't return a string, or does it return a string? Returns an object. So let's go ahead and do toString. All right. So if I do that, we should see that it's going to grab me the first name and put it out on the screen. Let's find out. There you go. First name Mike, first name John, first name Jane. There you go. So we can technically now do anything we want. So like I'm gonna do this really fast, and I know I'm gonna redo this video because obviously this video went all sideways, and I'm running up to a time hard cutoff. So we're gonna go ahead and do a data table, and we're gonna call it dt equals to new, and then we're gonna go ahead and do for each var call in sheet dot columns. We're gonna go ahead and say data column or dt dot add or columns dot add new data column, and we're just going to go ahead and make them all strings here. So we're going to do new data column, and the data type is going to be a type of string, and the data column name is going to be to the column name title, and the column, or that's really all you need, just that. That should be good enough. So that's gonna add all of them in there, and then for each one of these, we're just gonna go ahead and for each row, we're gonna basically just say dt dot rows dot add equals to, and then we're gonna create a technically we should be able to do add row essentially. It only has the same amount of columns. That should technically work. We're gonna go ahead and put a breakpoint here. It doesn't seem to not like it. We're probably gonna get an error though, probably like index wrong or something like that. I don't know. It accepted it. Wow, that was actually really easy. I did it all hard, but there's no values. So yeah, that's a problem. So it added rows, but it didn't add values. So we're gonna do data row equals to r equals to dt dot new row, and then we're gonna do dt dot. This is gonna be for each of the rows. So we're gonna do for each. We gotta loop through the columns to get the names of the rows. So we got to loop through the columns again for every time that we're going through a new row, so we can add them accordingly, or we can hard code it. It really depends on what you want to do. But yeah, we could do, like, for example, for each var c in row dot columns or dt dot columns. We can say r, and then do c dot title, or yeah, should be c dot title, or no, c dot name, because it's a data column now. cd column name. I have to specify here, so it actually gives me some IntelliSense. And we could do c dot column name equals to, and then row dot cells, and then do c dot column name dot value dot toString, and it wants an indice here, right? Of course it does. Cells dot count to array. We might be able to do like c dot index or ordinal. Yeah, there you go. So we can do something like that and then run this. Oh, it would help if I added the row to it. tt rows dot add r, run it. And now if we look at our DT, by hovering over it and then clicking on view, we have our rows. Look at that. And so now we have a data table. The possibilities are endless. Now, I am going to go ahead and whoever's watching now, welcome to the stream. Hello. I am going to go ahead and end it here, but and I'm going to redo this video because I am coming up to a time gap that I do have a hard cutoff to stop. But I will end up doing this and going further in this, but really the possibilities are endless. For example, we can go ahead and create like a project. Stop this so I can actually get access to project stuff. So we can go to project and manage NuGet packages. And again, we talked about loading this into SQL Server. So I'm just going to do it really quick. We're going to go to browse, and then we're going to go to system dot where is there, system.sql.client, and install that thing and apply. I accept, and we're gonna go back to our program file, and we're gonna do SQL. So now we got it, all of our stuff in our data table. We're gonna go SQL connection equal to con equals to new, and then we're going to create a new connection builder. SQL connection string builder equals to new string builder dot data source equals to dot, which means this machine. SQL builder dot initial catalog equals to, we call it SmartSheet data. String builder dot trust server certificate equals to true. String builder dot integrated security equals to true. So what that, it means to trust the server certificate, and then we're using Windows authentication. This is the initial catalog, is the database that we set up earlier, and the data source is locally, right? So we're gonna go now to connection string equals to sb.connection string. Then we're gonna go to SQL bulk copy, and then go to bulk copy or something like that equals to new SQL bulk copy, and then you got to pass it the connection. You're gonna then go to bulk copy dot destination table name equals to, I don't know, this was API test sheet, and then you're gonna do bulk copy dot write to server data table, And that's it. Now, you actually don't need to do this API test sheet if you were smart and up here you did like dt.table name equals to the smart sheet. And you could extrapolate that also from the actual get sheet probably as well and grab the sheet name. And now when you write it, it'll automatically take the table name from that. So if we run this again, we should see that it dumps that out into our SQL Server. Write to server requires an open. I never opened up the connection for this. So let's do connection dot open, and then let's rerun it again. And so it should have loaded our data into our table. It's having a hard time connecting. Oh, if I remember correctly, that connection was not local. Yeah, so it timed out. Let me pop open my SQL management studio here and see what we were connected to. So we were actually connected to this. So I'll hit connect. We'll go back over here. We'll delete that. We'll just change this connection from dot to this and rerun it. And we should be good. So we can see that the API responds pretty quickly. Destination table must be set. Okay, so I guess it actually requires it. I could have swore it actually equals to dt dot table name. I mean, we can just do it like that since we already did that. I could have swore it took it before, but I guess not. Sorry about that. Cannot access destination table API set invalid object API test sheet. So I guess you have to create the table. You shouldn't have to. Bulk copy should be able to create it for you. You can map the columns, write to server. This should automatically create the table for you. So what all good developers do, let's go to SQL bulk copy, auto create table. Oh no, I actually used this. That's right. I used some guy's thing on Stack Overflow. I sure did. It does not create it for you. Good old Stack Overflow, man. Let's go ahead and create that method there. It's going to go ahead and create everything as a varchar max, which is fine for me. If you are dealing with Unicode data, I would highly recommend that you change to end varchar max though. So if you're dealing with languages that are not English, you want to make sure you make that distinct change, okay? The SQL connection, you can actually just pass it the connection right here. So right now it's getting a data set in and it's looking for a data set. So what I just basically did was because you can copy multiple tables with a data set. So I just did data set ds equals to new data set. And then I did, after I created it all, I did ds dot add dt. So you add the data table. Now you do have to actually make sure that you do have to make sure that you give the table name up here in the DT if you do this with a data set. But you can do ds dot add or table dot add dt, and now you're going to add that data table into that data set. Then you can pass it a connection here to make your life easier. You shouldn't have to take care of the open command because I think it takes care of it for you down here. Yeah, right there, SQL connection open. So what you can do is you can just simply pass it or kill the open command here. Pass this a SQL connection, call it like con, and then you can just do SQL connection equals to, and then con. And then when you call it, you can just pass it your data set and pass it your con. And then it'll automatically open the thing and it automatically bulk copies the data for you as well. So now you can just hit the run button, and you can see all I did was simply research that real fast on Stack Overflow. So it actually already ran. You can see it passed my method, and it's paused at my uh, block there. So if I go back over here and I expand databases, and I look at Smartsheet data and I expand tables, we should see that table here. We can get the top 10,000 rows. And there you go. You now have archival data. Now, I had to do a lot of like other stuff, like with like joining and looping through and checking to not repeat data in case they were trying to upload data that was of the same data. So there was a special like type of join and query that I did by using the Smartsheet ID column that comes down as well, which is actually not available by default in the row. You actually have to grab it from the header of the row instead of grabbing it. You have to inject that into your data table, and then from there you can look through and when you grab the data, and you can go make a grab from the table first if the table exists, and then basically loop through those rows and delete any rows out of that data table, and then that come back from your SQL server, and then go ahead and trash out those rows and then only load the new rows. And that's basically what I was doing before. Again, I will go ahead and redo this video. I apologize for the long video. I am at a hard stop right now. I hope that this helps you guys, and I will try to redo this video. We'll do a next Friday, and we'll push out that QuickBooks data archival to the following Friday. But we'll go ahead and do it next Friday, and we'll go through over this a little bit more and slower, and hopefully whoever's watching right now will come back and will engage in the chat. Feel free to engage in the chat, whoever you are, give a shout out, and then hopefully we can push forward and get a new data archival video for the Smartsheets that allows a little bit more questions, and maybe I'll come up with some other questions when some other people have watched this. But as you can see here, I am going to go back to Smartsheets data here, and I am going to go ahead and immediately get rid of and revoke that API key. It doesn't really matter, but at least I'm being safe. So I hope you have a wonderful day, guys, and until next time, this was Figure It Out Friday, and signing off. See you later.